You're listening to Rodney Rogers Outdoors Radio, where we turn it upside down and look at the outside from the inside out. It's safe, it's legal, and we're having a blast. So put your shoes on, my friend, because we're going outdoors.
Bada bing. Welcome to Rodney Rogers Outdoors. I'm Rodney Rogers. This is my partner, co-chief in crime, Mike the Man Coy.
That's a mighty fine new iPhone you have there, Rodney.
It is a brand spanking new iPhone, Mike. I'm a baller like that.
Yeah, I know you are. You're a redneck baller.
Got new tires on the truck.
Yep.
And I got a new iPhone. I did not win the lottery.
It's amazing. It's amazing that on a whim you'll just go out and get a new iPhone. Like
I'll just there's a story behind that, as there always is. Welcome to Rodney Rogers Outdoors. You get to hang out with us for the next hour. This is our weekly vacation, is what it is. Mike enjoys it. I enjoy it. We cannot wait for this moment during the week.
Enjoy it.
You get to hear us jibber jabber.
Yeah, enjoy it. It's an understatement.
Top hunting events. I'm getting used to this phone, Mike. my phone mute thing is a little tough. I'm trying to watch, but it's so darn hard to get connected. That's because you don't have no Wi-Fi. You need some Wi-Fi. I got some Wi-Fi. So get you some Wi-Fi, Chiefy. So so we get to talk about where we talk about events. Now, when we talk about top events, it's outdoor events. We don't care about what happens in the world. It could destroy around us as long as we're in the outdoor. What do we care about? That's a bold statement.
Go, Rodney. You go, buddy.
If you're mad at me, email us at mike@rodneyrogersoutdoors.com and just curse us out. We answer all the top questions.
Yeah, and it's screwed up because it's Labor Day, so it actually feels like Monday, but it's actually Tuesday.
Yes.
So
we got a lot to talk about this. We got a lot to cover, man.
3
in an hour
day weekend.
So thank God it's a 4-hour show.
3-day weekend might be tonight.
Yeah, 3-hour show. So we had a 3-day weekend. We got a lot. Mine didn't quite go as planned, but you know what? I had a blast. I've got tons of stories. Mike?
What?
I always ask you.
What?
What'd you do this weekend?
What?
Tell me what you did. I am excited.
Yeah, we did a bunch of scuba diving. We did some scuba diving.
So you did the Blue Heron Bridge.
Blue Heron Bridge.
Now I've been watching a lot of videos on that Blue Heron Bridge. Now, if you're a diver, if you're not a diver and you want to get certified, we do dives every once in a while. Mike does them, or we're trying to.
Yep.
This is a great place for your first dive, and if you're just getting used to it. As a matter of fact, you went to just kind of refresh yourself,
in 2013. Can you hear me all right?
I got you. It's a little low.
It's a little low. Something. I've been told by the producer in the other room though that we're fine. So
okay, we're fine. That's all that matters.
2013 Blue Heron Bridge was rated the top dive site in the world, Rodney.
Really?
I'm telling you, we are spoiled to live in Florida.
No,
we've said it before. Yes. We are spoiled to live in Florida for many reasons. Fishing, hunting, but for scuba diving specifically.
Right.
But in 2013 was rated the top dive site in the world. I think by Jeff or Bill or some one of those guys.
Billy Bob.
But the reason is because it's easy access. It's a shore dive. You walk in off the beach, so you're not paying for a boat. So if you don't, there's snorkeling.
Save that money.
Yes, snorkeling, scuba. The deepest part is only 20 feet.
Wow.
So it's easy access. It's an easy dive if you're a scuba diver. You can stay down for, easily an hour and a half to 2-hour dives are very common here. Right. And the reason it's limited is because you typically do the dive during high tide or slack tide.
Slack tide.
So you go in 45 minutes, maybe an hour prior to the high tide. Right. And then, a half hour to 45 minutes when it's on its way outbound. But when the tide shifts and starts going outbound, the water starts getting murky. So, you can feel it, and you can feel that tide starting to pull you into what would be the boat lanes and stuff. So it's kind of
so basically, if you're not familiar with it, so what you're at a bridge and kind of a waterway, and as tide moves in, the water flows inshore, and as the tide moves out, it flows pretty swiftly
Yeah.
offshore. So during that slack tide, when it's going from in to out, you want to watch your tides, because we made a big trip to go down, and we realized that
And it changes
high
dramatically.
tide was still dark. So
Yeah, typically in the morning is the best.
wanna,
if you can hit it, in the morning at 8 or 9 o'clock, high tide is great.
right.
Saturday it was 2:47. You basically 3 p.m.
So what would you say the best tide would be? Like a noonish, where the sun is high and really glaring in the water? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously the brighter sun, you got better clarity in the water. You have your colors are better and so. But again, it's only 18 feet. Yeah. So if you can get it out in the morning, it's
great.
It's a nice
dive for new divers.
But not only accessibility, but the wide variety of sea life is phenomenal. Sharks. Last week they saw a hammerhead going through this area.
That's what I want to see. You know me.
Seahorses, jellyfish, sharks, turtles, all of your angelfish.
You know what? The amount of fish that you filmed. Yeah, that's what I want to see.
It's amazing, and it's one of those areas where they tell you you're best to slow down and just stop for a minute and just look around, because even the video I was showing you, it's those creatures that are coming in and out of holes, the puffer fish,
trying to identify.
Yeah, the camouflage ones that you would never know right literally 2 feet from you if you don't stop and just watch for some movement. But phenomenal dive.
And you know what? If you're not a diver, you thought about getting certified in diving, man, it's a whole new world.
Yeah, it's great.
I got certified with you guys early last year before. It's been shamefully.
Well, I tell you what, we went from there and we extended our weekend. We said this is not enough.
Right.
So we kept heading south, and we went down to Alamrata, for a couple of days, and did some more diving while we were down there. And I learned a couple things. Well, first of all,
tell me what you learned. Yeah.
And I don't mean to dominate, Rodney, but I'm excited.
It's our show. I want to hear. You don't get to often tell us what you did.
I had a great weekend. A lot of times you're like, "How's your weekend?" Oh, it's cool. Yeah. We had a phenomenal.
Well, you're going to be depressed when you hear about mine, but go ahead.
Phenomenal weekend. But here's the things I learned. First of all, when we were down there, especially the second dive, because the second dive I wasn't running video cameras. I wasn't worried about. Whoa, that's a good-looking guy. I wasn't worried about technology or videotaping or photos. We were just out.
Great way.
And I had people running through my head who I wished I could share this with. You know what I mean?
Right,
people
right.
I wished could be here with. It's such a unique, and not a lot of people get to experience this other world.
Right.
I wish my mom and dad could go down there and experience that. I don't even know if that's possible at this stage.
Right.
But I wished somehow they could be. It's just mind blowing.
Right.
Videos and watching on TV doesn't do it.
No
when
justice,
when you're just floating around this coral and these fish and looking at and exploring, it's magical. But the two things I learned about this weekend is, number one, on a weekend like that, the only thing you need to take is a couple t-shirts and 2 pair of swim trunks.
That's it.
When one gets wet, because after you wear it, you chafe a little bit. So you want to swap out to a dry one.
Right. I've been
Let that one dry.
Yeah.
And you just swap back and forth.
Right.
So the next weekend like that, 2 pair of swim trunks. I'm living in those. That's it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when your wife pulls a little yellow pill out of her pocket, you don't think you're cute and just snag it and throw it in your mouth. That's the second thing. I lost 4 hours of my life laying on the beach.
High five to the 4 hours laying on the beach and your tongue got sunburned. I've had that happen, Mike.
Why my wife was twiddling her thumb going, "What do I do now?" And she could not figure out why I was sleeping so well. Oh yeah, it was that Xanax.
It was Xanax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
What a great weekend.
It was just a little yellow candy that put me out. So anyways, tell me about your weekend and your new iPhone 6.
I'm certainly not going to top that weekend, Mike, but I'll tell you what I did do this weekend. Now, I had big fishing plans. We were going offshore. We had
last week on the show, you're like, I'm going deep sea fishing.
Going deep sea fishing, man, because we got pictures from the week previous, and the guys were catching mahi. They were jumping in the boat. I mean, you just hold the fish above and they just jump right in the boat. So we load up, man. I buy 100 pounds of ice. You ever bought 100 pounds of ice, 10 pounds at a time? Yeah, it's expensive.
Maybe during the ice bucket challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And then I shot there. We get the boat loaded with beautiful sunset rise, and I'm taking pictures, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on a boat. That's right. And we get out, and we have 2 cat diesels on a 42-foot lures condo. The AC quit, and one of the engines overheat. So we immediately we're trying to figure it out. We're snorkeling under the boat, trying to figure out what's going on. As one of the jets stopped up, it's a whole escapade. And anyway, I did periscope, and one of our buddies were in, just a hairy guy with blue fins. I typed periscope that we saw a rare fish, and I periscoped that we did see a hairy back bluefin. I think he got a little mad at me. He didn't like the hairy back bluefin a bit. I thought it was hilarious. I hadn't even started drinking. It was early. I just felt like the thing to do. So we hobbled in, and that's when I said, hey, where are you? And I was going to try to get down to you guys. Yeah, but it took us 3 hours to get in from 2 miles offshore.
First of all, it's pretty freaky that you're offshore. Even Kim said something that you're out in the middle of the ocean, and you're being able to periscope and text. I mean, technology is pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't so far that we couldn't get but yeah.
How far did you make it? A couple miles?
Yeah, we only went a couple miles out. And for me to lose signal on my phone, usually it's about 20 miles.
Yeah,
so
there's a point.
We rush in, and I'm excited to get to you guys, but by the time I get in, it's almost 12 o'clock. Now, you guys were already there, and it's a 2.5 hour drive for me. So I said, you know what? I wanted to buy a rod and reel combo. So I the night before, our friends at Black Dog Bait and Tackle. Now, we'll tell you this. If you are local, Melbourne, Cocoa, Orlando area, St. Cloud, that area, Black Dog Bait and Tackle, I called up and said, look, I want to buy a combo worthy of, I've got several. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I've got lots.
Yeah, no, you can see the look in my eye. Why another one? Why?
I've got reels that are 15, 20 years old that that are just retiring. I'm just retiring reels. That's all.
Is there something inspirational about getting a new rod and reel like that?
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It's like someone with a new pair of shoes. Okay. When I say someone, I mean women. Okay. If you get mad at us, email us at mike@rodneyrogersoutdoors.com.
But yeah, I would think a new.
Yeah, just a new combo. I said, look, I want to keep it under. I gave her a price. I gave Holly, which is one of the owners. I said, look, keep me under $200. So I said, so basically she said, look, I've never tried this combo setup. Let me try it while you're on the phone. She hooked the rod up to the reel. She goes, really? Oh my God, this is phenomenal. She goes, I never thought this combo would work. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, she's selling it to you. No, it's not like that. You know what I mean? I wanted a more expensive reel, and she says, that one doesn't work like this one does. This particular reel, which was made by Shimano, I didn't really care for that reel, only because it was less expensive. In my mind, it wasn't a Stratic, which was a $200 reel.
You thought it was a cheaper reel just because of the brand name?
It's a cheaper reel. And I kept it right at $190 for rod and reel combo. I got a 7-foot, 8-inch rod. So that was my Saturday. I mean, they hooked me up. They treated me like absolute gold, as they did everybody that walked in the bait shop that day. I was really surprised to see how they were answering questions. Hey, what's biting? Dude, they're biting here. They're biting on this. Get there now, or you know what? Or just, do this over here.
That's what you won't get by walking into a bigger.
Exactly. You won't get that at Bass Pro. Yeah. You won't get it at Walmart's. You won't get it at those places. Now, Bass Pro has their place, because you can get a multitude.
For sure.
When it comes to hunting, they're the aficionados.
But you're getting, by walking into a place like Black Dog, you're getting real-time information.
Absolutely. What are they catching right now? Yeah. Right there, right here. So that fishing day was shot in a root. So my buddy says, hey, let's go off. You know, I want to do Sebastian Inlet. So I said, great, let's do Sebastian Inlet. So I went ahead and stayed in Melbourne. So I went down to Sebastian Inlet the next morning. I meet them down there. We're fishing. We're trying to catch snook. It's just, you know, off the inlet. It's just, we hook into a couple snook, blah, blah, blah. Our lines snap. It's a lot of boats. It's snook season. So, I mean, you got to be prepared for something like that. So we decided to go offshore a little bit to hit some numbers that we have to fish bottom. So
fish some numbers that we have, meaning GPS locations.
GPS locations that have humps. So we
I'm
decided,
just breaking it down.
Yeah, thank you.
Keeping it real.
So we fished some humps out there, and I hooked up, you know, some cut bait, you know, hoping for a small grouper or something, and I flick it over the side and I let it sink, and my phone rings. Now I never answer my phone on the boat. I try not to.
Whoa.
Yes. I rarely get calls when people know I'm fishing.
Okay,
so
that's better.
I'm like, this is someone that doesn't know I'm fishing. I'm about to school them. And it's the boss from my job. And he says, hey, I need you to work Monday night. And I'm, wow. So I shut the phone off. I put it in my pocket. And about that time, the rod takes off over the side of the boat. I mean, just takes off. Pew! And I'm like, oh, my God. Now, this is my buddy's rod. I don't even know what rod it is. I don't know if it's a $200 combo, $500. I don't know what it is. It just goes over the side of the boat. I wasn't paying attention. And my cousin, Nick, my favorite person in the world, you know, my right-hand man, protege, is standing there watching it sink into the abyss with something on it taking off. Well, there's a couple things. One is I usually don't think about, these are just responses that come to me naturally. First of all, I wanted to know what fish took it overboard. Second of all, it wasn't my rod.
Who's responsible for this?
Who's responsible for this?
I want to know.
And it's me. So I jump in the water after the rod. Now I'm swimming after it just as fast as I can. And I realize, you know how deep you are when you start feeling pressure. And I'm going, okay,
yeah.
I'm about to my limits, and this rod's still going. So I'm reaching, I'm swimming, and I feel something hit my foot. And I realized that I put my phone in my pocket. So that was my phone coming out of my pocket, hit my foot. I grabbed the rod. I'm going back up to the boat, but I have the rod. I know the phone is gone. I've accepted it. But I'm still dying to see what's on the end of this rod. So I hand the rod up. I'm trying to get out of the water. So the depth was like 35, 40 feet. And I'm trying to get in, and all of a sudden I feel something around my feet. And we actually caught a shark on that reel. Biggest shark of the day. And they reeled it in while I was trying to get in the boat. So I get up. We lost the phone. I found the pole. We still reeled in the shark.
I'll tell you what. Anytime there's a loss of an iPhone, it's a sad
It is a sad. I mean, had I got it, I could have, I had the replace insurance. I could have replaced it, but it's the actual loss of a physical iPhone.
Yeah.
That's a check in heaven that I'm lost there. When I get to the pearly gates, they're going to say, let's see, iPhones.
Steve Jobs moment of silence. Was there anything on there that you lost?
Man, I don't know, 1,200 photos and videos.
Way to back up. So your lesson of the day, folks,
is put the phone down in the boat. Do not pick. I don't care if the world's falling apart. You can do without me. First,
but really, in your pocket, Rodney? Do you not know you? You've met you?
The chain of events, and that's me. You know me.
Well, yeah. Do you know you?
That's the
At
problem.
any given moment,
I'm not sure.
You could be overboard.
It's exactly right. Diving overboard wasn't even a second thought to me.
I know.
It was just splash. Pole, water, splash. This is what I do. This is why I'm Rodney Rogers Outdoors.
Yeah. So it came out of your pocket and then took a
visit. You know what the funniest part is? Everybody that I turned on location for, my daughter and Lexi, everybody's saying, look, it still says you're out in the middle of the ocean. Can you re-update your location?
Nope.
So
well, you know what's sad? The saddest part is that, you know what tomorrow is, Rodney?
Turning your iPhone for $1 million day.
Well, this is the geeky side of me coming out. It's September 9th.
which is the release of
the new announcement.
Yeah, which I don't mind. You know me, I'm not the new guy. I'm not the new tech guy.
I am.
You are. So
4K video, baby. Hopefully.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we'll talk about what that means in the production of Rodney Rogers videos later.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah. So
Kim, wherever you're at, brace yourself.
Yeah. So Monday we went. We just got off the woods. If you stay tuned in our Facebook, Rodney Rogers Outdoors /Facebook, you've seen I was posting tracks, different tracks.
Oh yeah.
You know, and letting people guess what they were.
Yep.
We seen a ton of animals. Now these tracks, we actually saw the animals in the tracks, so it made it that much more exciting.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it was cool for us. We went arrowhead looking.
It made you so much more stupid if you didn't get the right answer.
Oh yeah.
Well,
wait a minute, I saw that animal.
You're like the animal's in the picture.
In the picture. No, well, we didn't get the animal in the picture. We didn't quite get it that far. But we got him as a what? Because it just fresh rained. We're in the sand, so we had all great tracks, awesome tracks. So that was my weekend, man. We made the best of it.
Wow.
I definitely
screw the top news. We made top news.
Yes.
Your weekend and we had three. I didn't see all weekend, but I was watching your do you like the Periscope?
I do. I love Periscope.
I don't know how to.
We're Periscoping right now, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, we got 5 viewers right now.
That's cool.
We probably lost and picked up. This is RodneyRogersOutdoors.com. You can actually watch us live.
Periscope. It's an interesting tool.
It is an interesting tool.
Piece of the puzzle of the social marketing thing.
Yeah.
And there's a few people I really follow, including Rodney Rogers Outdoors, and it's one of the best ways I keep in touch with you, even more than calling you on the phone.
Well, you know,
I guess Rodney's fishing today. I see.
Periscoping our gator hunts when we're able. There's a lot of times when you can't really Periscope. I tried a lot this weekend, but it was just signal. You know,
we're gonna be off kilter tonight on our schedule. I can tell you already because we need to talk gator hunting when we're in the
Well, our season starts back this weekend. Remember, this is a break.
Are we in a break?
Mm-hmm. You had first weekend.
Yeah.
I had third.
So
weekend.
It's not 2 weeks. It's 1 week.
It's 4.
No, but I mean, mine was a week, not 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, yours was 1 week.
And yours was a week, and it's gone.
Yeah, remember the first 4 weeks is all quota. So you got the first, I got the third. Yeah. Right now we're on the 4th, and then this weekend we all get to hunt openly all over the place. So, and I will tell you, as much as I love FWC, I am disappointed. So where are we at on our time? And then you tell us, and then I can tell you that story.
Well, we're in question and answers.
Let's do it.
But the question sucked. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Let's do some questions.
Okay.
But we'll have time. Let's go back to the questions. But
okay.
But why are you disappointed with the FWC?
I've been trying to get an answer out of them. 15 calls I have logged.
Have you really called?
I have 15 times on the question that you and I had. No one knows the answer, Mike.
That's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
Because we literally spent time. We lost
researching.
Time.
We lost time researching, trying to get the answer. So I said I would nail it for us.
And what is that question? Because people are wondering what we're talking about.
We have Osceola County tags. Now I know what lakes we can hunt, but I want to hunt the backwaters that are public waters that have legal access, but they're questionable waters. They are named waters, but the lake hunters cannot hunt it. And by verbiage, we can, but we don't want to. We want a clear, concise answer as compared to a questionable iffy.
I know. I was a little confused. I'll be honest with you. I was a little confused by the whole of what we were allowed to hunt.
To put. I could understand the lake. I knew what lakes. I knew those locations we will hunt.
Because in the drawing, in the lotto, there were the major lakes like Toho, Okeechobee,
which we draw every year.
Yeah, exactly. Those you got drawn for. We got drawn for everything else that everybody else can't.
Right.
We got everything else. We
got the whole county, public and private land.
But is that not as big? Is that not as big a deal as I thought it was?
No, it is. It is. It's just going to boil down to the places that I'm trying to take us are where the giant alligators are. And that is what I want. Now, we can go kill a 7-8 footer,
but how do we get to them?
Well,
that's the question, right?
You and I we have 6, 8, 10 lakes we haven't even touched yet. I mean, we can go to those lakes. It's not a problem. We can absolutely go to those lakes, and we can hunt them.
Lakes that aren't on the main list of lakes
that aren't Alligator, Brick Lake, Lake Lizzie. I mean, there's tons of lakes, but I'm trying to get us to where I know there's some 13-foot alligator, 12, 13, some real giant.
So,
alligator.
for example, and that, without giving away our spots, because we're not talking fishing holes,
right.
we're talking gator spots. It's different.
Right.
So the one lake we were at,
right,
that we wanted to go in that night, but it first of all downpoured, so the whole night got washed out.
Right.
But the access to it was very limited.
Is what stumped us.
And the place where we would have launched our boat closed at, was it 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. on that particular one? It was 8 p.m.
Yes.
So what's the question? Can we get in on that lake?
I have a couple questions. One is being alligator season, is there a separate set of times? That is one, because in some places there are.
So you're thinking they're going to give you some leeway because it's gator season. See, I don't see that happening.
Right. And it may not. And
I don't see them going, why would we change the hours for that park just because you're a gator?
They do on Lake Toho. They change the hours.
Is it publicized, or is it just
well, it's kind of, it is publicized.
They change the hours of what? The parking lot?
Well, they change the hours of a couple things. One is parking lot times, in access, and times that you're allowed to have airboats on the lakes. Because most of the time you have to be off the lake at 10 o'clock. Now, being alligator season, you can get off at 12 or 2 a.m.
Because what we encountered is something I didn't anticipate.
I didn't either, honestly.
Not the fact of what the legalities of gator hunting are, but I don't want a ticket when I get back to my car.
Right. And it's not just a ticket. It's a federal ticket.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big deal,
But are we parked in an area, what I mean? How do we literally get our boat onto this lake that's surrounded by a community? It's surrounded by neighborhoods. Right. And, there's one or two areas that you can actually access the lake publicly.
Right.
But it closes at 8 p.m.
Exactly.
What was the question?
That's the questions. That's the questions. Do we have that monitor up real quick?
We do, Rodney. Anything you want, your wish is my command, my friend.
Are we, what do you see there, Mike?
I see you in a, wow. You sure want me to say this? I see a black bear and maybe a bear behind it with the blue mask on thing.
A blue-headed bear.
What am I looking at? Blue-headed bear, yeah.
Yes. That is a... Have you ever seen a blue-headed bear?
No.
It's we talked about the Florida species. The Florida species is a subspecies of black bear that only resides in the state of Florida. So if it becomes extinct, there's no way to replace it. This is that type of bear.
This is literally a blue-headed bear.
Yeah. Can you guess the name of this bear?
A blue-headed bear?
It's a gummy.
Oh, is it really? Care Bear?
Gummy. It's a gummy bear. So, no, we have a blue-headed bear that was videoed, a blue-headed black bear that was videoed. And what they're trying to figure out, the biologist took a look at the photo, and they think that the most likely scenario of this bear bit into a can of spray paint. But underneath his neck is blue. Everything from his neck forward is perfectly blue. I mean, it's like he painted it perfect.
He is a Smurf bear.
Exactly. I would think if you bit into a can of spray paint, it'd be like one section or the other. But I watched this video, and it's completely around his whole head. His hair has
Is this Animal TMZ? Is that what you're watching again? Are you subscribing to them?
You know what I think someone, knocked this bear out and dyed it blue and said, "Hey, dude, let's dye his hair blue. It'd be so cool." So here you see the right side of his head.
Senior citizen bear.
It's a senior citizen
That's
bear.
Wrong.
So yes, it's a blue-headed black bear, and he's in Canada right now. So can you imagine the headbound on this guy? You wouldn't even show your buddies, would you?
This is the TMZ YouTube segment of the show, isn't it?
So I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. So
why is Justin Bieber riding him?
Why is Justin Bieber riding that bear? It's a Bieber bear. That's what kind of bear it is.
So let me ask you a few questions. You want some questions?
Let's do it.
You want some theme music?
Yeah, put it on us. We don't even have time for commercials.
I'm gonna hit a button. We're gonna whatever you hit is what you get.
Ooh,
You got nothing.
it starts moaning.
Oh, wow. I just shut down the show, Rodney.
You
Do you mind? Yeah, here we go. That's quite funny to me.
Oh, you got it?
Letters, we get letters. We get stacks and stacks of letters.
All right, Rodney. Because
All
I
right, hit
think, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking about preserving things tonight.
Tonight, we're going to talk about how to take care of your, it may be trophy, or you just may have harvested an animal that you want to know, okay, how long do I have to process it? Blah, blah, blah. Where do I get it processed? Do I process it? Whatnot and what have you. So
preparing the harvest.
Preparing the harvest.
Whatever you've caught, you brought back to the house.
Fish or foe.
All right.
Fish or foe processing.
So I dug through our archive of questions, and here's actually a question on taxidermy, because that's part of what you're talking about,
part
right?
of what we're talking about, absolutely.
Okay. So Jeff from Ocala wants to know, what do I need to do for preserving a duck shot today that may not make it to the taxidermist until a week or two? I have decided not to eat it as well, since the condition of the duck is excellent, and I do have a spare refrigerator.
Okay. So here's the easiest way to handle that. There's a couple ways. One is Ziploc baggie, a gallon Ziploc baggie everyone has. So you want to put that duck in a gallon Ziploc bag. Roll it up very tight without the zip seal zipped. Do not zip that seal until you have everything real tightly wound up. Make sure, pet the duck. It sounds weird.
This whole thing sounds weird, to be honest with you.
Pet the duck so all the feathers are going in the same direction. Down toward the tail.
Sure.
So pet the duck, make sure all the feathers, tuck its head under a wing. Lift a wing, put its head under the wing.
You're being serious.
I am being very serious.
Okay.
And then put it in the gallon baggie and roll it real tight. And then zip the baggie once you have it rolled. And that takes all the air out.
And then do you freeze it?
And then you freeze it. And here's why you do the baggie. Years ago, remember the old freezers that would freeze and you'd have a foot of ice around it?
Yeah.
Now, today's freezers have an automatic defrost. So it'll take it down to 20 below zero and then bring it up to 40 degrees. And then take it back down and then bring it up to keep ice from building. So you get freezer burnt on your animals very quickly. Do not let that duck sit in there till next year, because it will get freezer burnt. You want to get that duck to the taxidermist within 4 to 5 months. Voila.
Does the freezing do anything to the actual feathers on the duck?
It doesn't do anything to the feathers. It does it to the skin.
Okay.
And the worst place that gets it is the eyeballs.
Okay.
So when you have freezer burn around the eyeballs, now you have to resculpt the eyeballs.
Interesting.
So the taxidermist will call you. It may be $150 to $275 to mount your duck. He may call you and say, "Look, you have an unmountable duck because the whole beak and everything's freezer burnt." It's very disappointing. When you have a world-class duck. And it
sounds like he's got a good one that he's preferred not to eat just because it's in great shape. So good.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
Eat it if you cannot afford to get it mounted in 4 months.
Okay.
Eat the duck.
Hey, Teresa from Holly Hills, Florida wants to know, how is the age of a fish determined?
We have a spot coming up on this. I still want to do that spot. There's a couple ways. One is the scales. The scales tells the age of the fish. That's the non-lethal way to age a fish. And it's pretty accurate. So basically what they do is they put the scale up to a bright light, and every winter...
You're actually talking one of the fish scales.
One of the fish scales. And every winter, the fish grows slower. So there's rings in the scale, kind of like there would be in a tree. So, and every year during the winter, as the fish grows slower, the ring is thicker. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So
sure.
They look at the thick rings and they go, okay,
So there's still the method of counting some sort of incremental.
Now, the 100% way to tell the almost exact age of a fish.
Ask it probably, right?
Is grab it when you have it in the mouth, yell in its mouth and go, "Fishy, how old are you?" 575. So is the Oitlhith. It's otolith bone. It's called an otolith. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's olith or otolith.
Okay.
And it's the otolith bone inside the skull behind the ear. And they pull that out and they age the fish by the same rings.
Oh, really?
But it's 100% accurate.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's more lethal way. So, hey, real quick, if you're at the boat ramp at the ocean and you see an FWC officer there, and it might not be an officer, it may just be a biologist, and all he wants is to take that otolith bone out.
Really?
They do it very quick. Let them take that. That tells them how old the fish are. It only helps us as fishermen. They don't want to, they're not there to persecute or prosecute.
Does that really happen?
Yes, that really happens. It happens to me all the time.
Really?
Yeah, they'll say, hey, what'd you catch today? Most fishermen go, I didn't catch a dang thing. You know, they're really defensive. If they're defensive, then that means they probably got a fish that's borderline legal.
Sure.
If you have a fish that's not illegal and you're 100% sure about it, let them take a look at it. Let them do their survey, pull a few scales, and pull the otolith bone out, and they'll be on their way. They don't hurt your fish. They don't hurt the meat. And it helps us as fishermen.
Interesting. So
they can do their research. It's the only way. Otherwise, we're paying thousands, millions of dollars of people, biologists out there doing. This is the best way to do it. So
relax, take a chill pill, right?
Take a chill pill. Let them do their thing. That's why they're there, and that's why we buy our license. So
interesting.
Yes.
Couple more questions, Rodney.
Absolutely.
Dave, Tulsa, Mississippi, I guess.
Tulsa.
MS, right? MS.
Tulsa. Is it Tulsa?
TALUSA.
Okay.
Tulsa, Mississippi. Can you catch a bigger bass from a boat rather than on the shore?
Here's what I always say, and I do the demos at Bass Pro Shop. I use the
Is
same.
that a common question?
It is a common question because people think that you can't catch big bass from shore. I've caught many 11 and 12 pound bass from shore. When I say many, I mean probably 8.
Okay.
11 plus from shore. Most of my overall giant bass, my 2 biggest bass, one came from a bass boat, 13.6. One from a canoe, 13 even, which was my overall largest fish, not by weight, but by size. And then many bass, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 from shore. The bulk has come from shore.
Well, let me ask you, the 13.6, is that what you said?
Yes.
From the canoe?
Yep.
How close were you?
No, 13.6 was right up against shore. I mean, that's literally right out of the
I'm saying you're in a boat.
Could I have got to it from shore? Not on the 13.6.
Okay.
Actually, nor the 13. I was actually out on the outside edge of the weeds in the deep part. Yeah.
Okay.
So
being on the outside. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
That makes
but
sense.
I don't personally think it hampers you fishing from shore. It doesn't stop you from catching a giant bass. Remember, the fall is coming. If you're going to catch the biggest bass of your life, it's going to be in the fall.
Really?
Yes. They're feeding up, getting ready for the winter. Yeah.
Okay.
In the springtime, they're feeding up, getting ready for bedding. And they're usually not at their largest. They can be, but it's normally the fall.
Okay, one more question. Then we're going to go right into the topic, Rodney, because this is going really fast. Back to preserving, I guess. How much does it cost to have a gator head preserved? This is Bill from Hope, Arkansas.
Okay. It's
That's
simple.
it.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a couple ways. You can have a gator skull mount done. Like, let's say if you kill an alligator, you give it to a taxidermist. There's a couple ways he'll do it. He'll send it off for beetles, and they'll put it in flesh-eating beetles. And they'll put this gator head in a tank of beetles, and these beetles just eat the flesh off. Now, don't panic. They only eat dead flesh. They won't eat alive. So if you laid down in a tank of beetles, they would not eat you to death.
Is that really how they do it?
That's exactly how. Well, there's a couple ways. That's one. That is the cleanest way.
Is there a place around here that does that one?
Yes. Yes, there is actually.
That's crazy.
We ought to go watch these beetles. It's impressive.
You're serious. You're not being
pull them
TMZ
on
me,
YouTube.
huh?
Flesh-eating beetles. They'll knock them out. That's how they get the skull. They climb in every orifice and they get every piece of morsel off of. They don't leave nothing but a skull. That is it.
This is morbid.
Yeah. Now, how I do it, because I'm all out of flesh-eating beetles. I had one beetle, and he was just a fat son of a gun. I was like, eat that deer head, boy.
He was
Now
more
eat
of a
that gator
cigarette
head.
smoker, wasn't he? So, bleach?
No, See, the common myth is bleach. There is no bleach in a blanched skull at all.
People
You
say
never
because
use
it's
bleach.
white, right?
Yeah, it's
That's why you
called
think
bleach
that,
white,
yeah.
but you never use bleach. Here's how you do it. Pay attention. It's going to be a pop quiz later. If you have an alligator head, buy a tote from Walmart. $5 totes with the lids. Fill it half full of water. Drop your gator head in there. Put it in
And trust me, getting the tote's the easy part of this.
Yes. I will promise you.
This equation.
You better have a strong, what's the word I'm looking for? Constitution.
Yeah,
Is that-
I guess. Yeah,
you better be able to. You better be able to handle it. Put the tote in the back of your house or in a location where it will not get dumped by the dog, raccoons, or otherwise. Leave it for 30 days. Okay. I would recommend 45 days. Leave it for 45 to 60 days. Take your water hose, pull the lid off, and just let the water hose run in the water and just let it kind of tilt it so the goo will drain
cycles.
out.
Okay.
Yeah, because what will happen is all the flesh.
This is just water right now.
Right now it's just a nasty green.
But I mean, you're just running water through.
Yeah, you're
no
just running
chemicals,
water. So you're just rinsing it. So basically what you're doing is you're letting that green flesh slime run off the skull. And I'm going to tell you what, you'll vomit about 4 times before this is over.
Check.
Cannot get rid of it. It's going to get you. It's going to get you. Now, I've done it many, many times. It doesn't get me. But man, does it ever come close. Then you hose the tote down, and then you pour. Peroxide is very cheap.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you just leave the lid off, leave it out for a couple of days, let it dry, and then pour peroxide in there just above the alligator head. And in about 7 days, your alligator head will be absolutely pristine white. Absolutely white. You may have to put some things back together. That's how I learned how to put alligator heads together. And I'm going to tell you right now, an alligator head is about 50 pieces. Wow. And if you don't know how to put it together, you're going to have a bunch of pieces. Wow. So, you can pay someone to do it. It can be anywhere from $150 to $300. So, yeah, it's a process.
Tell me, I think there's a market for this puzzle.
Oh, we said it years ago.
I know.
We said it years ago,
It's
and I have
writing a set of instructions and a bag full of
bones.
gator head pieces.
And say, take A, the nose bone's connected to whatever that part is. That part's connected to whatever that part is. Yeah, I've got pretty proficient at putting alligator heads together. So yeah.
Let's talk about preserving. Let's move right into it, Rodney.
So let's move right into our topic. So tonight,
talking away.
We've got a little bit of time. Actually, it's just enough time to talk about what I want to talk about. So basically, we're talking about once you harvest your animal or catch.
You're talking about anything. Fish, duck, gator.
Duck. It doesn't matter if you think it's a trophy and you want to save it. If it's a saltwater fish, then you want to do all the measurements you can possibly do. The length, the girth, meaning take a tape
measure.
But what's the tape measure? Seamstress tape.
Okay, yeah.
The cloth tape.
Yeah.
And measure the whole girth. Take as many measurements as you can. Doesn't matter how many you take. Just write down what measurements they are, or even take pictures.
You're taking measurements while the animal is fresh.
While the animal is
natural
fresh.
state.
Absolutely.
Because it's downhill from there.
And then fillet your fish. You know what I mean? This is saltwater.
Okay.
This is saltwater. If you think it's a world record, and I will tell everybody this, look at the world records. You will be surprised how many times the world record has been beaten. It doesn't matter what kind of fish it is. Bonita, mahi-mahi. A guy just filleted the world record mahi-mahi, and he thought once he filleted it, he could still have it checked in as a world record. And they were like, no, that's not how it works. We need a whole fish, fresh off the sea. So if you think it's a world record, then preserve it. Look up, if it looks like an astronomically large fish, look it up and see how close you are.
If you think it is and you get back, let's say you got a mahi and you think it could be a record.
Yeah.
Get back to the dock.
Yep. Put it on ice ASAP.
But for how long do you need? At what point to go, okay, we got it. You're checked in, you're good to go.
Okay, so now you have to do a couple things. You have to get someone to officiate it. You can call the FWC. They have a couple of lines you can call and say, look, I have what I think is a world record mahi. I weighed it. It's over the world record. They will send someone out to officiate the scale. They'll bring an official scale.
Sooner than later, I'd hope.
Yeah,
right?
way sooner. Yeah, if
Okay.
there's someone in the area. If not, keep it on ice. Even the next day. It's not like this thing's going to lose weight overnight.
Yeah.
So keep it on ice, and then have it officiated. Usually they're pretty quick about it, and they'll get you the IGFA, International Game Fish Association. Will get this thing weighed.
Bless you.
They'll ask you what kind of line you caught it on, what's your weight, because a lot of people don't understand. You may have a world record on 10-pound test line. You may have a world record on 12-pound test line.
You might not know all the parameters of what you're dealing with there.
A lot of times, if you think you have a giant fish and you caught it off 6-pound test line, all you got to do is take like 2 or 3 feet of your line, officiate the weight. Here's the line I caught it on. You turn that into IGFA. They test the strength of the line. They make sure it's not some super strength line. And you can have a world record. You can have a 8-pound bass as a
That's
world
an
record on
interesting
2
point.
pound. Yeah, so
Because even though it might not be the record you think, they might say, we've never had somebody catch one this big in a pair of Speedos like that.
Exactly. You
So
may
you
have the
just-
Speedo
Yeah.
world record. Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. For someone cross
Yeah, you don't know what all the parameters of.
Exactly. So, check that out. If you think it's a big fish, look at all the parameters and see exactly how it goes. So, but let's say, okay, so you got your fish. If it's a saltwater fish, take all the measurements. They're going to make you a fiberglass mount. Very, very, very few taxidermists will even fool with a actual skin mount of a saltwater fish because they've got so many fish out there now that are just fiberglass and they've got every shape and size. You measure the length, the girth, and they've got a fish.
They don't want your fish.
They don't want your fish. Fillet it, eat it. Say, look, I've got a redfish. It's 40 inches long, blah, blah, blah. And poof, they got one. I promise you. Now,
See, that's interesting.
it is. And now, believe
That's
it or
why
not.
photos, right? Photos.
Yeah, take photos.
That's why all the measurements, all the
Yep.
photos,
and all the photos.
because
you
they're
can
going to
get.
duplicate what you got.
Exactly. They're going to get as close as they
It's
can.
not gonna
Like
be
if you
your
got a
fish.
redfish with certain spots, he's got 12 spots on him. They can look at they can blow the picture up and look at the location of each one of those spots down to the scale and put those spots exactly on that fiberglass mount where your redfish has it. And you won't know the difference. You really won't. And it looks fantastic. Ton of taxidermists out there that'll do it, especially in South Florida. A lot of them. That's just what they do. That's all they do. So it's worth that. When it comes to when we're talking deer hides and stuff like that,
That's different, right?
yeah, that's a little bit different.
Now you are talking. That is the hide of the animal that you caught,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep, that's exactly right. And a lot of them go, "Oh man, I've got these horns. How do I get these horns in my freezer? How do I, what do I do?" The first thing I would recommend is learn how to cape your deer in the most proficient way you can in order to get your horns off so you can get your deer preserved in a bag, in a freezer, and get it ready for the taxidermist. So basically, you're cutting a Y down from the horns. I won't go into it too in depth because the video will do it.
Yeah.
You're basically cutting a Y. It'll tell you how to do it in order to skin it back enough that you're able to extract your horns off and get in your freezer.
Because you just may want the horns.
Yeah, well, you may just want the horns, but the cape, all the hair is on the skull, and you don't want to try to cut around the eyeballs and the lips and all that stuff. The horns, to get the horns off, will allow it to go in your freezer. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So if you think it's a
I'm
mountable
telling you,
deer,
my wife is not going to be happy about that in my freezer.
we go shoving stuff in the freezer. Or if you know how to cape it, obviously cape it and roll it up.
And cape it means what?
Cape it means pull it completely off the skull and horns.
Okay.
So you have the deer cape because all the taxidermist uses is the hair and the horns. They don't use the skull. They don't use none of that stuff.
It's all forms.
It's all forms. Now, if you want a European mount, which is just the skull with the horns, then just hack it off at the neck, take it right to the taxidermist. A lot of people go, "Oh, just throw it in the ant bed." And it's a pain in the butt for the taxidermist. Get it to the taxidermist as quick as you can so he can put it in his freezer so he don't have to deal with a rotten brain up in there and he has to bomb it all the time. So the key is to get it in the freezer. Ducks, we explained the ducks. Now, here's something I wanted to throw out there, and we've got a few minutes left. When you harvest a deer, a lot of people don't know that if you have it processed through a game processor, tell them to hang your deer in the cooler for about 14 days. Now, what happens to a hanging deer, no more than a hanging beef. You ever heard of aging beef?
Sure.
They hang it in a cooler at 40 degrees, 35, just above freezing, and they allow the beef or the deer to age. And that tenderizes the meat and changes the taste totally. So if you harvested your first deer, take it to a processor and tell them to hang it for 14 days before they process it. And they'll hang it for you, and they may charge you. Believe me, it'll be worth the charge.
Sure, yeah.
Let them hang it for 14 to 20 days. There's no such thing as too long.
Because you're going to come back and get the meat?
And then they'll process the meat once it's hung.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It does a lot of things. You know, drains the blood. It tenderizes the meat. It's just phenomenal for the meat. But you'll look at deer a whole nother way. Age it before you process it. And that's what I would say about that.
It's almost too general. You almost need to take a topic like this because, right? I mean,
we say it every time.
I know. There's so much information, whether you're duck hunting, you're deer hunting, you're an angler and what other stuff. I mean,
and ducks are the same way. You know, you age them the same way. So you can hang a duck, you can hang fowl out on the post for, several hours before you have to process it. So, I mean, it's
out on the post. What post?
When you just hang it outside, you can hang it on the post, just hang it upside down. Man, we can really go in the depth. Maybe we'll pick an animal.
We almost need to.
Yeah, and then to give us the full spiel of it. Yeah. So,
well, maybe gator might be the obvious one right in front of us, right?
It's coming. So yeah, when we get the first one, obviously we're going to video the whole process and what we do and how we do. But see,
there's a good question though, because gator. I mean, excuse me. What were we talking about?
Gator. So
because we're going to skin the gator,
we're going to
take the meat.
We got a minute or two. Here's what I do when first thing I kill an alligator.
Do people preserve the whole thing and have the whole
some people do.
Thing,
you got to decide if you're going to keep the hide, or I'm going to keep our hides this year. We're going to process them. We're going to actually turn our hides this year into alligator leather. So I'm going to skin the gator so we can preserve our leather. So I'll skin it from the back around the scoots.
So initially you're going to attack it differently.
We're going to attack it 100% differently. Remember we used to cut it down the center of the belly just to get it off?
Yep.
Now we're going to start from the back, from both sides of the scoots. The scoots are the bones, the osteoderms.
Oh, I would think you would still come from the stomach, right?
No, because that's the leather we want. We want it untouched.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
We want it pristine, perfect shape. So
that's the good stuff on the belly.
That's the good stuff. So we'll start here and work our way to the front. So we'll preserve that part. Now, what I do, and you've seen me do, is I put Dawn dishwashing liquid and bleach in a bucket, and I wash this alligator completely. And I'm a little strong on the bleach. The Dawn dishwashing liquid breaks up the oils and greases and algae and stuff that's on the alligator.
It's a very strange thing. He's giggling when you're under his arms. And
he's like wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. So
it is very strange.
We bathe this alligator from its teeth to its tail, and we scrub with brushes.
Yeah,
we scrub every crack, crevice, his toes, and we let that bleach sit on there from 30 to 45 minutes before we ever start processing this gator. Because remember, as you're cleaning this alligator, you're touching his skin, and then you're touching the meat. Mm-hmm. So if he has bacteria on his skin, which I assure you he will, then you're processing it. You're taking it right to your meat. So you want to make sure that bleach is on that alligator for any length of time to disinfect it completely.
Even before you slice it.
Before we even put the first knife to it. You've seen me do it. I mean, that's it. That's my process. That's how I've always done it, and I'll always do it. And the processors, I can't say they'll do it. I don't know if they do it. I've never watched a processor process an alligator. But I would never trust. This is reptile. This ain't deer. This ain't mammal. This is a reptile, and it can get you very sick. So it's important that happens. I've never seen a processor process an alligator. I don't know if that's how they do it. That's just how I do it. And I would only trust me.
That makes sense.
In fact, I don't use processors for anything. It's just not. I highly recommend it if you've never done it.
So you'll slice down the back, keeping the belly, all this
perfect
skin intact,
all the way down to the arms, the legs, and we'll save every piece of leather that we possibly can. And I'm going to make. We got 4 alligators, so I plan on making 4 different colors of leather this year.
Belts,
boots.
Boots.
I mean, boots are expensive to make, so we'll use belts, boots, motorcycle
Handbags.
seats, handbags. If somebody
motorcycle
wants leather,
seats. That's cool.
I mean, wallets. I'm definitely going to have an alligator wallet.
That's
I've
cool.
always wanted one, so I'm going to have one sewed up. So it's going to be
Alligator man bags,
no,
fanny packs.
no, Mike, no.
Kidding.
Maybe
Just
one.
kidding.
Yeah. So that'd be maybe a hat. Maybe we do an alligator hat. Crocky.
Could you do like a what's?
We could band. Remember the old bands around the cowboy hats? Remember those? We could do those.
Oh, that's right. The Crocodile Dundee type
Like
of.
a Crocodile Dundee. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, but that's it. I mean, there's this. We just scratched the surface. I mean, we had a lot to talk about, but I mean, there's just tons and tons of methods, and a lot of people don't like the wild game taste in wild game is because it's not processed properly. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't like that. If you ate a cow fresh off the hoof, I guarantee you'd never eat another cow. I mean, I go to Mayaca City all the time with my buddy, and we process cows. Them cows have been hanging in that freezer for up to 25, 30 days in a cooler, should I say. And then we process that cow. And some Angus beef is hung 50, 60 days. So, it changes the taste. It tenderizes. It is just, you would not eat a cow off the hoof. If you ate it, you'd go, oh, no, there's something wrong with this cow. No, it's fresh. You don't
go in
know
there and play the
fresh.
Rocky music and do that.
That's how we tenderize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how we tenderize it.
Oh yeah.
So what we learned tonight, we learned about gummy bears and real life gummy bears, and then everything else.
Smurf the Bears.
Blue-headed bears.
I don't know what the heck's going on. TMZ new special. Rodney Rogers
special.
TMZ.
We had so much. I mean, like I said, we could literally just keep going on about that whole.
Now you have a go-to taxidermist that you use?
I used to. We had one. I had one over here that was over by UCF. He moved out to Kansas or Wyoming.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So proximity, you lost him.
Right. Yeah. He decided to go big. I mean, it was phenomenal. He did
So you
my
got
fish.
you got a new vacancy.
Phenomenal guy. So yeah, actually, I'm not a big tax. You've seen me. I mean, I'm not a big. I don't get things mounted. I had my bass mounted only because when I was taking the Bass Pro Shop, we lost it on the way. We were going to put it in their tank, and then I lost the fish on the way. Otherwise, I wouldn't. But I wanted this fish to look exactly like it did. So.
But that's the other thing is, and we've talked about this before, is finding somebody who's a true artist with this because they can give you something back that
that's
looks
the
like
key. You're dishing out a
nothing
lot
like-
of money, and you got one shot at this.
Yeah.
Literally one shot, and you want to find that taxidermist. Don't be afraid to go to a taxidermist and look around and shop, and they go, if they don't walk you around and go, hey, look, call me.
Yeah.
I'll walk with you. I don't mind.
You don't want that creepy animal staring back at you.
Yeah.
You'd never.
I'm
Doesn't
going to
look
post
anything
some
like it.
animal taxidermy fails. And you're going to laugh, Mike. Oh, I was looking at them today. I was thinking in my mind, let me see some fails. Oh,
Really?
dude, some
we
of
should
their
post some-
eyeballs, they just stuck to the outside of the head.
You do that. You send me some. We'll put them
I'm
up
gonna
on the
send you some. We're
website.
gonna put
Some
some-
taxidermy fails.
Find the right taxidermy.
I'll put them in the show notes of this episode.
As you know, I did it for a long time, but I
Yeah.
just did private taxidermy.
Yeah.
I did my own
Yeah.
for friends and family because I loved doing it, and I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I feel I'm an artist because I love.
Well, you've done it for the movies before.
Yeah, I've done it for the movies, so I mean, I can do this, but I just didn't want to get inundated. So taxidermists get so inundated, they don't have time to enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah.
They get to see it from their shop.
Oh yeah.
I want to be the guy to go, So, but alligator head, stuff like that, it's easy to do. I can do ducks.
Do you
What?
still have all the pieces of puzzles to that alligator you're working on? or
I've
has
got
that
several
been-
alligators. I put several together. They're just a bunch of heads. I even pulled a mold off a head.
I know that, but that looked really good.
Yeah. We need a bigger head because the teeth are the hard part, to get the teeth to fill in. So we'll make some reproductions. So.
Okay, so just we're off this weekend, or we start again this weekend?
No, we can start this weekend. Both of us can go full bore this weekend. So we are hunting this weekend. If you're available,
I'm available.
okay, then I'm available. So
You saw my gear from the last time is still sitting by the
Ready
front
to go.
door. I got
Yeah.
permission from the wife to leave it right by the front door
Oh man, right
to
on.
put it right back. Batteries are still charged.
Just go.
Go.
Just go.
Tell
So
me when.
Saturday we are on.
Okay.
Both our seasons open. So you or I.
Both of our seasons, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
We got 4 big.
Until
alligators.
when? Till November?
Till November.
This
My birthday,
is what
November
is
2nd.
today? September. Today's the 9th, 10th,
Yeah.
8th. Today's the
We got a
8th.
couple months.
So continuous now through.
We're wide open
Okay.
now through November 2nd. So we've got 4 alligators to kill. So there you have it. We're good to go. We can do this. We got this.
Gator meat and the. I want.
I'm out too. I'm out of
Yeah.
gator meat.
You know.
We need gator meat so bad. So
It's a lot.
Mouthful.
It was a lot. 3-day weekend. It's we kind of both went our separate ways and just tore it up, didn't we?
You know what? Which is awesome because I get to hear your story. I love when I hear you in the outdoors. You know what I mean? Because you didn't grow up in this. The
No.
fact is we're doing this together because we're yin and yang. You didn't grow up doing
I'm like
this.
a wide-eyed kid.
Yeah,
just still
it's just why I love doing stuff. with you.
experiencing it
So,
for the first time.
you got anything else? Listen to us,
Yeah.
RodneyRogersOutdoors.com.
Yeah.
If you're listening to a podcast, you can actually watch us on video. Hashtag RROR. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on
Periscope now.
Periscope now, Rodney Rogers Outdoors,
Rodney Rogers Outdoors TMZ.
TMZ. And you can find us on Twitter at Backyard Bass or Rodney Rogers Outdoors. You
Yeah,
can
buddy.
find us either way.
Find us.
Find us. Got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. And as my mama said 18 million times, and I pray I get to say it half as much, you kids get outside and stay.